Charlotte Dacre was a British writer of Gothic fiction. She was born in 1771 or 1772, the illegitimate daughter of John King/Jacob Ray, a Jewish moneylender, blackmailer, and radical political writer. In 1815 she married Nicholas Byrne. She died in 1825. We will cover her most well-known novel, the 1806 Zofloya or the Moor. The story begins in Venice, where the wildly womanizing Count Ardolf finds refuge in the house of the Loredani family, only to seduce Loredani's wife Laurina out of spite. After she abandons her family, her son Leonardo flees home in shame, and her husband wanders the streets of Venice until he is struck down in combat by Ardolf himself. Making amends at her dying husband's bedside, Laurina breaks all her vows again and is snared by Ardolf once more. Then, when Ardolf would have uninterrupted possession of her, he has her daughter Victoria confined in the house of an old hateful crone, who purposefully imprisons Victoria in her room, makes her eat coarse and insufficient meals, and steals all her clothes and finery. Eventually, with the help of a servant girl, Victoria escapes the house and gets back to Venice, where she finds her lover Berenza and takes refuge at his home. How to describe Berenza? He is twice her age, wishing to keep a 17-year-old girl as mistress, thinking how she is not competent enough to be worthy to be his wife, and that it would be an injury to his just pride to marry her, not because of anything she did, but because of her being contaminated by having an adulteress for a mother. So he scorns her as unworthy, and yet openly does what he scorns her mother for without any hint of irony or self-awareness. And the worst part is, Dacre keeps championing this guy, saying he is a great philosopher and completely accepts his conduct as irreproachable. It takes Victoria defending him from an assassin sent by Berenza's old paramour to finally make him consider her worthy, and then Victoria starts hating him when she realizes he was looking down at her as a mere plaything this whole time, and yet we're supposed to think she's a terrible person for feeling this way. The assassin, by the way, was her brother Leonardo, sent by his new lover Megalena Strozzi. Leonardo had till now gone through quite a lot, being accused of assault by an old rich woman he did not love and who threw himself at him, and tending to an old peasant woman who lost her son until her death. But then he was snared as a new catch by Strozzi. She is a hypocrite who, when seeing Berenza with Victoria, says he must die for ever conferring his attentions on another, literally telling this to another she conferred her attentions on. Leonardo disappears from the book early in Volume 2, and Victoria gets married, but wants Berenza's younger brother Henriquez. Then she finds a Moor in Henriquez's service named Zofloya, who would want to help her get rid of A, her husband, and B, Henriquez's fiancée Lila. And then nearly all of Volume 2 is just retreading the same ground. Victoria gets poisoned from Zofloya, complains about it not working fast enough, gets more. And Zofloya telling her that, if people start dying in your house one by one, it might be a bit suspicious. After a volume of this, Zofloya abducts Lila and throws her into a cavern, while a drought makes Henriquez go insane and think Victoria is the vanished Lila, before he kills himself the following morning on discovering his mistake. After tossing Lila to her death from a mountain, Victoria flees the castle, and she and Zofloya take refuge with a band of mountain bandits, whose leader is young and mysterious and never takes his mask off, and it's clearly her brother Leonardo. But the book keeps going on about who it could possibly be, despite being the only male character both unaccounted for and not dead. Then Ardolf shows up to be stabbed to death by Leonardo in 2 pages, a bit of an anticlimax for the big bad of an entire volume, while Zofloya takes Victoria to a mountain, reveals he is really Satan, and throws her down to her death. The book feels more like several unrelated books. Victoria as an innocent victim betrayed and imprisoned, and Victoria who murders 3 people do not feel like the same character at all. Not to mention Volume 2 being almost entirely padding to reach triple-decker status.